Hello, my name is Paulette Downey, and I have a word from the Lord. So, this word today is: Will we see our pets in heaven? Now, I was actually working on something else that the Lord wants me to speak on, and he dropped this on me, and he said he wanted me to speak on this one first. And so I was just overjoyed to be able to bring this topic to talk about it to all of you because I have or had a pet. I had a cat, and she has passed on she's been gone for a while, and she was very dear to me. And so what I've been told when growing up, when growing up, is that basically when animals die, they just simply go back to dust because they don't have a soul like we do. But they do have a spirit. So although they don't have a soul, they do have a spirit, and I'm going to take us to Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 18, and just talk about that or read scripture on that. So let's quickly go here. Ecclesiastes. And it is Ecclesiastes 3, 18. So I also said to myself, as for humans, God tests them so that they may see that they are like the animals. Surely the fate of human beings is like that of animals. The same fate awaits them both. As one dies, so dies the other. All have the same breath. Humans have no advantage over animals. Everything is meaningless. All go to the same place. All come from dust, and to dust all go to the same place. All come from dust, and to dust all return. Who knows if the human spirit rises upward and if the spirit of the animal goes down into the earth? And so that is Ecclesiastes, and that is chapter 3, verse 18 to 21, talking about the spirit of both humans and animals, and both of us having breath, both of us, neither of us having an advantage over one another. When our time is up, we go back to dust, and basically it's the same thing. So that right there tells us that animals do have a spirit. And for many of you who own pets or have owned pets, especially a cat or a dog, you know that they have feelings just like we do. They become family. You don't look at them as pets, even though you know that they are an animal and that we are humans. You look at these animals, these creatures, as the people. Animals take on the same type of personalities that humans. Some are very outgoing, some are very friendly and lively, some are more reserved, some are more quiet, some are more suspicious, some are more loving, some are really, really clever. So you get all different personalities in animals, and especially cats and dogs, just like you will find in human beings. And so, and another one I want to read as well, just before I go into the message that I'm going to be delivering. And so this one can be found in Genesis. And so it's going to be Genesis 1 and 24. So we're going to start. And God said, let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, the livestock, the creatures that move along the ground, and the wild animals, each according to its kind. And it was so. And God made the wild animals according to their kind, the livestock according to their kinds, and the creatures that move along the ground according to their kinds. God saw that it was all good. Then God said, let us make mankind in our image, in the likeness so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky and over the livestock and all the wild animals and over all creatures that move along the ground. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female. He created them. And so God blessed them and said to them, "Be fruitful and increase in numbers, fill the earth and subdue it, rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground." Then God said, "I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree has fruit with seeds in it. They will be your food. And to all the beasts of the earth, and all the birds in the sky, and all the creatures that move along on the ground, everything that has breath of life in it, I give every green plant for food," and it was so. And so that was on day 6. So that was the last day before the Sabbath day, when he created creatures and livestock and along with man. So, so basically he's saying that when he created us, and when he said, "Let us," meaning Holy Spirit and Jesus Christ, when he was saying this, he was saying this to the two of them, "Let us make mankind in our own image." So cats and dogs and animals and creatures and birds and creatures of the sea, none of them are made in God's image. But we are made in God's image. And that's what differentiates us between animals. But just because it differentiates us between animals, does that mean that animals, when they pass on, do they just go back to dust? Or does their spirit also go to heaven when they pass on? So like I said, growing up, all I've ever heard was that, they just go to dust, like they don't go anywhere else. But once having a pet, once having my cat, and she was just like a human being. I mean, and you grow to love them and think of them as a human being. Like you don't even, like you know that they're a pet. You know that they have to be cared for in a way that you wouldn't care for a human being. You know that they are vulnerable and that they do need, special attention. But at the same time, the personalities that they have and the joy that they give you, you just think of them as part of your family. And so, of course, to all the pet lovers out there, to all those who own pets, the question always becomes, when my pet dies, will it go to heaven? And so I'm just going to talk about my belief and basically how I feel and what I think about pets, if we're going to meet them in heaven, if we were going to actually meet our pets in heaven. Like I said, I had a cat. Her name was Ginger, and she was an absolute joy to us. And so she was at the genius level. Like this cat was a genius. They actually have an IQ test for cats, for animals. They have an IQ test for animals. So I took one for her, and she, of course, I was not surprised. She was at the genius level. She was a joy. And, she had her mischievous ways, because she's a cat, none of us are perfect. And so, but even though they don't know about right and wrong the way we do, they know about right and wrong. They know some of the things that they shouldn't be doing. And so one of the things that Ginger would love to do is she would love to sit on the kitchen table. She knew that was wrong. She also would like to sit on the kitchen counter. and tops. She knew that was wrong, and so when she was told, of course, she wouldn't do it when anyone was present. She would wait until there was nobody in the home. And so a few times I had caught her, when I came home, a few times I had caught her running from the table, trying to get off the table before I actually saw her. And of course, I caught her right in the act. And one time she couldn't, there were a few times where, because she was caught, she just froze, because she knew that she shouldn't have been there. And so she just froze because she knew she was caught. And so there was no point in even trying to jump down because she was caught. And so, she had to jump down eventually anyway. So they do take on, their personalities. They have things that they do. She eventually, she developed, developed something with her kidney. And the veterinarian, actually, it was something even minor. It was something even more minor than her kidney. It didn't start off with her kidney. It started off with something very minor. And so the veterinarian said, give her these pills so that this can help to heal her. And of course, she wouldn't take the pills. So I had to disguise them. So the veterinarian said, what you do is you crush the pill, crush the pill until it's like dust, and then get like a dessert that she loves, and then wrap the dust of the pill in, put it in the dessert, and then give it to her that way. And so that's exactly what I would do. So every morning I would do just that. And everything was going along great. Everything was going along wonderful. She was eating her dessert. She enjoyed her dessert, thoroughly. She loved that dessert. Then one day, I don't know what happened on my part, because this cat is very, she notices everything and she scrutinizes everything, and she did scrutinize those desserts. But one day, I don't know, I guess I must have just messed up. I crushed, I really crushed. But I guess when she got the dessert, she saw one little white speck in that dessert, and she refused to eat that dessert. So I was like, okay, I'll do this again tomorrow. But ever since she noticed that white speck in that dessert, she would never eat that dessert again. Because at this point, she knew that that dessert was not all that it appeared to be. And so, we said, okay, my mom and I, we said, okay. So then we started putting it in water. So we started putting the pill, crunching it up and putting it in her water tray. And the only problem with the water tray was that, she wasn't drinking. Like every time I looked to the water tray, there wasn't a dent put in it with respect to how far the water went down in it. And so this was going on for a while. So I said, we said, okay, this isn't working. So let's just put back her normal water, with nothing in it. And so she wouldn't drink that water either. But prior to putting the crushed pills into the water wasn't going down anyway. We just really didn't take notice of it until we started putting the pill in the water, because we now really wanted her to drink the water. And she wasn't drinking the water, but it wasn't going down prior. But, she's living and she's, joyful, and she's doing, the things that Ginger does. So, we didn't think much of it until after the fact. So, this went on. I would look at that water tray and I would say to myself, like, how is this cat living? I mean, like the water is not going down. I mean, it takes, we can live without food for 40 days. Like Jesus went on a fast for 40 days. He only had water for 40 days, so no food. For water, we can only live for 7 days without water. According to that tray, like this was going on for years. Like this water was not going down. And I'd scratch my head and I said to my mom, like this, like how is she living? I mean, like there's not a dent being put into the water. Like, we would give her a fresh batch every morning and it was like it wasn't going down. And then, like sometimes, like I would see her, like when I'm cooking or doing whatever in the kitchen, then she would, like she would take some sips of the water. Like she would always take some sips of the water. And I question, like, are you doing this? Like, is this a show for me? Like, are you just doing this because I'm here? Because that water's not going down. And those few licks that you were using to slurp the water up, it's not putting a dent in that tray. What is going on? But she was doing it in my presence, but still the water tray should have been going down a lot lower from what I saw her taking in. So, like I said, this went on for years and went back to the veterinarian, because then it was starting to feel worse. I told the veterinarian the story, explained everything to him about, her not taking, the dessert, and I tried to disguise it in so many ways in her food and everything, and she wouldn't do it. Like she was just clever enough to pick up that, there's something in there that I don't want to eat, that I do not want to digest or put into my body. The veterinarian couldn't think of anything else. He did say that we could, put it in like some kind of like shoot it in or something with some, like with what they use for, like when you're making turkey. I can't remember the name of it, but like you're squirting the butter into the turkey. But she wasn't going to allow that. Like she was very, very stubborn. She wasn't allowing that. She was probably the most difficult cat to get into the tray. To take her to the veterinarians. She hated the veterinarians. And like every time we tried to take her, it was like a 2-hour event just to get her in. And after that, of course, when she was there, then she was a bundle of nerves. But she was always, she always let the veterinarian do what they had to do. And then when she'd come home, when I would drive her home, she knew when she was getting close to home. She always knew when she was getting close to home. And so then after let her out of the basket, she's mad as anything. She'll hide in the basement or whatever. Didn't want to see me. Didn't want to see my mother. She didn't want to see anyone. She was mad at us all because she had to get in that basket and go to the veterinarian. So anyway, I digress about that. But anyway, so took her to the veterinarian to find out, what could we do. And there wasn't anything else that we could do. So in the process of this was taking years. And eventually, her minor problem became more major. It started to affect her kidneys. She was still doing well. She was still Ginger. Whenever I would come home from work, she was always meeting me at the steps. She was always there waiting for me at the steps. Whenever she heard my mom come, she was always waiting for her at the steps. She always knew when we were coming, even before we came. Like I knew when my mom was coming simply because she would go downstairs and wait at the top of the steps for her. So I said, okay, my mom's coming back or whatever. And that's what she did for me as well. And so she was always, always lively, always, if ever I was really, really upset, like really, really, really upset, she would just sit down beside me and just put her paws on my thigh and like just lay her head on there, and she would do it like more affectionate than she would normally. Like, she was a very affectionate cat, but she showed the level of her affection when she knew that I was going through something. And this just talks about the degree to the emotions that pets have, and how they can pick up on our emotions, because they do, like us, they do have a spirit. So I tell this story because I am leading somewhere, and I'm leading to the title of this this video, which is "Will we see our pets in heaven?" Well, when we get there, and many years. Then, like, she was slowly getting worse. So she was still her lively self. She was still go in the backyard. She still did the things, the wonderful things that Ginger did, and she was a completely unique cat on her own. And towards and I just yeah. So anyway, so her and my mom spent a great deal of time together. Like, the two of them, they probably they were buddies. Like, they spent the most time together. And it's funny. Like, they spent the most time together. My mom had a television in her bedroom. And so, she would watch her television in her bedroom. Sometimes she would go to the living room and watch it, but she did watch television a lot in her bedroom. And the cat, so, because my mom spent the time in her bedroom as well in the living room, the cat thought the bedroom was hers. So although it was my mom's, the cat thought the bedroom was hers. And so the cat, I think, even spent more time in the bedroom than my mother. And so what would happen is my mom, she, like I said, they spent time, watch television either there. Then if my mom went in the living room, then she'd go down to the living room with my mom, and usually she'd take my mom's seat. It's so funny, the things that she would do. Whatever was ours really wasn't ours; it really was hers. So the time they spent in the bedroom together, and my mom. Okay, when my mom would go out. She would never leave the bedroom. Like, she would never ever leave the bedroom. And even on like really hot days, she would never ever leave the bedroom, because she thought the bedroom belonged to her. The only time she would really leave the bedroom was at night, like in the middle of the night. Then she'd leave the bedroom, she'd go down to the basement, do her thing, because she wanted to have her time to herself. But during the day, she liked to linger in my mother's bedroom. And so, my mom always had like this big, glass of water. And she had the big glass of water sitting on her dresser. And she had that water every day. So for years, because my mom drank a lot of water. Like, my mom drank more than 8 glasses of water. She drank a lot of water. And, so she always had, like, I think there had to be like a good liter, or close to a liter in that glass. And so she had that sitting on her dresser every single day. So, like I said, as the years go on, like, and Ginger's fine, but she's getting older too. So she's getting older. Her health is still fine, because we constantly took her to the veterinarian, constantly. Like, this was something we did on an annual basis, or almost annually. Took her to the veterinarian, to see how she was doing and everything, make sure, So she was doing fine, but because she wasn't taking the pills, it was gradually affecting like other organs in her body. As she's getting older, she's probably about 16 years old at this point. So she's getting older. So, she was still quite quick, and, but she couldn't, she wasn't as swift as she used to be. And so we're going to find her. So she wasn't as swift as she used to be. She couldn't, because I'm sure she was doing a lot of things when no one was home that we probably don't know of. So one day, like my mom would always say to herself, like when she'd go out and she'd come back and she'd look at the water and she'd say, like I swore I didn't drink this much as it appears to be. Like it's a lot lower than what I thought. But then she thought maybe it was just her and there was something, like maybe she just mismeasured, like in her mind, and that maybe she did drink that much. And so this went on for years. And then she even questioned, she said, could Ginger possibly be drinking out of that water? And she said, no, there's just no way, because she would actually physically have to climb up and, like go onto the dresser. And, she's a cat, so she's going to knock, the water over. And there's no way that she could actually drink that much and have it sink that low without her knocking over the glass. Well, one day, my mom came home. Ginger's 16 years old, and so she's not as quick as she used to be. And my mom found Ginger head dipped in the glass, drinking the water. So this was why she wasn't drinking the water in her tray, because she was drinking the water out of my mother's glass. Now, I sat in the bedroom with my mom, the three of us, when I would come home. My mom and I, we love politics, so we would watch a lot of CNN, and Ginger would be right there, so it would be the three of us. And she looked like she didn't even notice that glass. And my mom said the same thing. It didn't even seem as if she even noticed the glass. But she noticed it, because like I said, whatever was ours, she thought was hers. And so she was drinking out of that glass for years, because my mom said many times that glass, the water had dipped so low, and she questioned like what happened. And then she even questioned, did the cat drink from that water? Apparently she was. That's why she wasn't drinking from the tray. And so, and the reason, so that's why the pills, she didn't detect the pills in the water, because the amount of water that was in the tray really diluted the amount of pill that was in there. So she didn't detect it. She had her own water in my mother's bedroom. So at this point, she's getting worse. And, like we're starting to worry now. And so I went to church. I go to church. I always attended church every week. And so one day at church, they said, if any of your loved ones, are sick and, you want prayer for them, come up and we will pray for your loved ones, for healing. And so I went up, because she is my loved one. So I went up, I asked them, if they could pray for my cat, because, at this point I had taken her to the veterinarian, and the veterinarian said, it is getting worse, and, we spent money, and it doesn't matter, but, you try, because you love her, so you're going to spend money. But anyway, so I asked if they could, pray for my cat for healing, because, she's getting worse. Like I can see it. She doesn't move. Like even though she was still herself, you could see the deterioration of her and the life that she once had. She wasn't the same. And it had nothing to do with age. It had to do with the fact that more of her internal organs were being affected. Like it was like one organ was kicking in and it was doing damage to another organ. And so it was, she was just becoming progressively worse. And so when I asked for healing, to pray for healing for my cat, um, you know, this lady just prophesied. And when she prophesied, it was like I got basically two things. Like when she prophesied, because I asked for healing um, for my cat, and she basically said to me, your cat is going to be waiting for you in heaven. So immediately, so we prayed, but she prayed more for strength for me uh, than healing. But it was just it just came out of her. So from that message, two things I got. One, my cat was not going to be healed in this world. And two, my cat will be in heaven. And she's going to be waiting for me in heaven. And when she said that, because I never expected that, like, because all I was ever told was that when, your pets die, they just go back to dust. But they have spirits just like we do. And I'm going to give you another example of the intensity of their spirits. But when she said that to me, it was like bittersweet, a bittersweet response that she gave me, because basically she was saying, God is not going to heal her in this world. Basically, she's not going to get any better, but she will be waiting for you in heaven. And her last days were very sad. No more waiting for me at the steps. No more, it was me having to go to her. Like, she would always come to me, but she was so sick, and this was in her final days. And so she lived to be 18, 19 years old. She lived to be 19 years old. So this was probably within the last 2 months of her entire life, 3 months. And at that point, she wasn't even fighting me when I was taking her to the veterinarian at that point. At that point, there was not even a fight when I was putting her in the basket and, taking her off to the veterinarian, because she didn't have the strength. Oh, before she had the strength, before she would put all her weight and sit down. Like, it was so funny to see. At the same time, we were so frustrated, but it was so funny. Like, all her weight. And I mean, she must have been like, what? Because she was not a small cat. And so she probably was like 13 or 14 pounds. But when she put all her weight down, she felt like she was 50 pounds, like you just couldn't pick her up. But at this point, she was so weak that, you just put her in the cage, and easily, like, we were going to the vets. I think it took her like maybe 2 or 3 times a week, to see what we could do. And so, like, in her final days, she became very, very weak. And like I said, I would have to go to her and visit her, like, because she couldn't even visit me anymore. She couldn't, her and my mom, like, it was so cute. Like, like I said, they were the closest. And, sometimes I'd come home and I'd see them, my mom and her, on the bed together, and both of them sleeping. She's at the foot of my mom, like, stretched out, as you would be stretched out on a bed, and both of them sleeping together. And, like, sometimes they did things, even like when my mom would look at something a certain way, she would look at it a certain way, the same way. It was just so, like, the way they mimicked each other was just so, it was just so endearing and so sweet. But the veterinarian said that it would be best at this point that we put her to sleep, simply because it would be very cruel to have her to continue living, because she would live, but she would be in excruciating pain. And I mean, I saw that right there. She was a shell of herself at this point. She wasn't Ginger and she didn't move like Ginger, and you could see the pain. I could see the excruciating pain on her face. So she had to be put to sleep. But I just remembered that prophecy that was given to me, and it just flew out of uh, the, um, the the prophet's mouth, that she's going to be waiting for you when you get to heaven. So that kind of changed my belief in believing whether pets go to heaven or not. I truly believe they do. The personalities, anyone who has a pet knows the personality, how they are. They're like humans. There was another incident, and this is with my friend. The friend who I was talking about, who worked at the beauty boutique with me, and she was diagnosed with cancer. And so she did go home to be with the Lord. But prior to that, one day I was at her place, and a couple of other people were there as well. And she has 5 cats. And one of the cats, just like Ginger, I believe, in her room. And the cat just believed that that room was her, or his room, because he was a he. So that cat believed that that room was his room. So, she said he's always there, he never comes out, just like how Ginger was with my mother's room. Because they take on things that belong to us, and they think that whatever is ours really is theirs. So anyway, so he would always remain in her room, like never come down. So one day, and then there were, there were a couple of cats that were in the living room with us, and then there were, because she had 5, so a couple of them were in the living room with us. Then I guess the other couple were out, off doing whatever they were doing, and then, like I said, the one was in her bedroom, just doing what he was doing. So we then got together. We sat on the carpet on the floor, and we said we were going to pray. We're going to pray for my friend, and so we began praying. And so we closed our eyes. We prayed. When we woke up, when we opened our eyes, not when we woke up, when we opened our eyes, all 5 cats were sitting in that circle with us. All 5 of them, including the cat that never left that bedroom. They have a spirit, and they felt the presence of God when we were praying. Were there angels or whatnot? I mean, probably. We didn't see them. They would. But all 5 cats were sitting in the circle with us when we opened our eyes. It was powerful. And this was before my cat had passed on. I was blown away by that. And I know for a fact my cat has seen angels many times. There were many times when I would come home and she'd be waiting for me or whatnot, and then all of a sudden she's like in a trance. She goes into a trance and she's looking at something, like she's just staring at something. And I say, Ginger, Ginger. And Ginger just did not hear me. Ginger was looking at something. And my mom said the same thing. She has to be looking at angels, because she would just be transfixed on what it was that she was looking at. And no one could get her attention at that point because she was just transfixed. And because they spiritually, they are at a higher level than us. They are tapping into things. They are seeing the supernatural realm more than us. And it was just really nice to know that she was seeing angels in our place. It was just nice. It was comforting to know, because that's I believe for sure that's what she was seeing. And she was seeing them all the time. Like she always had those, like where she was transfixed, like not every day, but throughout the year, she probably maybe have maybe like 7, 8 encounters on a yearly basis. So that's a lot, for anyone. I mean, I think if we humans were seeing angels, and I'm sure there may be some people who are seeing angels on that level, maybe 8, 9, 10, 11 times, whatnot. I think that's very powerful. And so, but yes, so Ginger experienced encounters with angels many times because she would just become very transfixed. She couldn't hear you when you were calling her. And so I just got to the point where it's like, okay, I'm going to respect your time with the angelic deities that you are, communicating with, and when you are done, you know where I am. So they are spirits like we are spirits. They see angelic beings probably even more tuned to it than what we are. Um, and they take on personalities just like we do, and they have organs, like internal organs, just like we do. I think there is one. Trying to think, there's one thing that they don't have, and I'm thinking more of cats and dogs that we do, but all the other internal organs they have just like we do. And I do believe that when I leave this world, my cat will greet me when I arrive in heaven. And I believe that my mother and my cat are having the time of their life right now. Just they're probably all caught up on everything by now with each other. But yes, and so that's pretty much all I have to say about when we see our pets in heaven. This has been my experience with my pet, and what has been told to me, and what I have read in Scripture. Even though they don't have a soul like we do, they do have a spirit, and I believe that spirit has to rest somewhere. And they provide so much comfort to us human beings. I don't know why, because there are going to be pets in heaven, and anyway, there are going to be animals in heaven, just like there are going to be people. So I don't know why those animals couldn't be the same animals that lived with us right here on earth. So that's my message for today on will we see our pets in heaven. If you are not a follower of Jesus Christ, I would strongly urge you to become one. It will be the best decision that you have ever made in your life. Give God a chance. Give Him a year of your life where you go to Him, you admit your sins, you confess your sins to Him. Allow Him to know that you can't do life on your own. Let Him know that you do accept Him, that He is Jesus Christ. He died on the cross for your sins, and that you are going to submit your life to Him and turn away from your old way of living and commit yourself 100% to Him. Do a 180 on your life. Live for Him. Give Him a chance. Just give Him a chance and just focus on Him for one entire year. Just do things His way. Read your Bible daily. Find a church. You need a church body as well. We need spiritual food from the Word on a daily basis, but we also need spiritual food from sermons, from a church, a physical church. Online churches are great, but you need that physical community in which to build upon. So commit your life to God, and you won't want to go back. You will never want to go back to your old way of living again. So that's my message for today. And until next time, have a blessed day and have a good one. Bye bye.